Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out Abomination, Warhammer 40K story, Adeptus Mechanicus by a Vox in the Void. Yes guys, I've had a lot of recommendations to go back and check out some more Vox in the Void here on the channel, so that's what we're going to be doing here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Vox in the Void, man, again, makes fantastic works. It's been quite a few weeks since we've done it, so I'm really excited to check this one out. Abomination, I've had a few recommendations for this one, and looking at his channel, it's the most viewed video on his channel, and I'm assuming that's with good reason. It says right in the title there, Adeptus Mechanicus, so I think I know what we're in for already here. The Adeptus Mechanicus is known for some fuck shit, known for doing some fuck shit, and we've heard them use the word abomination quite a few times. So I'm assuming just from that title, it's either going to be an abomination within the Mechanicus, or it's going to be something that the Mechanicus views as an abomination. It's hard to say, you know, given the context of 40K, because a lot of things in the Mechanicus to us would be considered an abomination, you know, but that's not how they see it, right? And we've even heard them use that word quite a few times, actually. In Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2, in the prologue for Cadia there, we hear the tech priest there use that word. So, you know, I'm really excited for this one. I think this is going to be interesting. Half an hour long. I'm really not too sure, you know, specifics what to expect, but I expect good things. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy, leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and leave your recommendations, of course, down in the comments below. Big shout out to all of our members, all of our Hastati. I appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. And yeah, come on down, join our Discord, of course. You gotta plug that Discord. Join the Discord, come on down, join our Legion today, guys. It's great interacting with you guys there on that level. You can leave me recommendations, and you can talk to me on more of a level there, and yeah, interact with other people there. It's pretty great. So yeah, come on down, join the Discord, join Legion today. And with that, guys, let's get right into this video. As always, gonna be writing stuff down.
The air was thick with orange smog, rising from the uncountable choked lungs of the forge machine.
Ooh.
Millions trudged along the main throughway, dragging heavy bionics that malfunctioned and sputtered along the soot-stained road.
Amazing narration already.
They passed beneath vast archways that creaked under the weight of ceremonial cogs and the red banners of ancient Mars. Huge, loud hailers droned the Credo Omnissiah on repeat, drowning out the sound of shuffling feet and the thousand groans of failing flesh.
So, so this is on Mars. Okay, so this is the Mechanicus homeworld of Mars, right? And they're talking about the millions, thousands of people. Is this a servitor fucking production facility? Is that what this is? Even like looking at the background here. Is that what we're in for here? Is that what we're about to hear? Are we about to hear the fucking gritty ass details about what's about to happen to these people? Oh god.
There is
it's a good thing I haven't eaten in a while.
Flesh, only betrayal. There is no strength in flesh, only weakness. There is no constancy in flesh, only decay. There is no certainty in flesh but death. Scion Maximilian Vandalin the 23rd watched from the viewing gantry, fighting back a cough. Through the orange haze of industry, the workers were blurred, their borders indistinct, as if they were all organs of one horrendous creature named the Forge. The Scion's hair was slicked with a layer of grimy sweat, perspiration pouring down his face. He glanced to his guide, the tech priest Arn-Ki Gibel. The tech priest's upper face was replaced by rusting metal, 3 unblinking bionic eyes forming a triangle where her forehead should have been. Where the metal met her lower cheeks, the flesh was red raw and puckered, as if the skin rebelled against the intrusion of the machine. Maximilian hid a frown. It was impossible to tell what the tech priest was thinking. There was no expression in her red eyes, no human gesture in her unmoving square pose.
So it's interesting too. Female tech priest. I assume they must exist, but I don't think I've ever seen one. And yeah, like you don't really, I guess, see many females in the Mechanicus, I suppose. Maybe you do in the literature and stuff like that, but from just like the animations and shit I've seen, I guess I really, thinking about it, I haven't really actually, seen many women in the Mechanicus. Which, you know, diversity, no, I'm joking, but like, it's just like, no, it's actually just an interesting fact. I like thinking about it. I never really put much thought into it. Somebody's gonna have to let me know like the specific lore on that. Like, I assume like, yeah, it has to be a thing. Obviously it has to be a thing, but I've never put much thought into that. Wow.
He glanced back to the scene below, his mind still protesting at the sheer numbers he saw. It was impossible to see the individuality in each independent part. Impossible to recognize the humanity in each blurred face. Just cogs of a gigantic machine, turning and clicking into rusted place.
So perhaps he's just observing the Forge world. Oh.
What? All three of Arnki Gebel's eyes were focused on the Scion.
What your organic brain cannot comprehend is but simple arithmetic to the blessed machine.
Wow.
Maximilian chose not to rise to the contempt in the tech priest's voice. He steadied himself, resolving to show no emotion at all. He wasn't a fool. This was not a world of the Imperium. This hellhole belonged to the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Wow.
This world belonged to Mars.
So he must be just a normal Imperium officer or some sort, I'm assuming there, perhaps, or at any rate, he obviously does not want to question the priest of Mars. Like that's not what you want to do, right? But it's just funny to me how he's straight up just calling it a hellhole. Like this is a fucking pit, you know? But yeah, maybe on my initial assumption there, where I thought it was a processing facility, potentially not. I think he's just observing the mass Forge world and all the millions of people at work doing everything, you know?
The tech priest smiled. Her few remaining
Perhaps I'm
teeth
wrong.
were black and rotten, her gums bleeding pus.
Ooh.
Our tour continues, Lordling of the Imperium.
Yeah, Lordling of the Imperium. It's got to be an Imperium officer.
Her red robes trailing dirt. Maximilian glanced to his father's seneschal, Gregorius. The old man still stared at the crowds below, his knuckles white where he gripped at the railing. When he noticed Maximilian's eyes upon him, he slowly turned, neither smiling nor grimacing. With the smallest of gestures, he nodded for the Scion to follow the tech priest. Maximilian could feel the old man doddering behind them. Arnki Gebel placed a wrinkled hand on a red flashing cogitator rune, soothing it to a placid blue with a drone of incomprehensible binary.
Interesting too is the I assume for like an Imperium officer, anybody from the Imperium, like just a baseline human, to step foot on like, you know, Mars, like the home world of the Mechanicus in a sense. You know, I assume like that must be so like fucking alien to you, you know, like it must be so vastly different. Like even at like as far as like Forge worlds as the Imperium go, like I assume it's gonna be much fucking different than what you're used to, you know, in a sense, like because you might have some like the odd Mechanicus at like the Forge worlds that you're at, or maybe like I guess the Mechanicus only operate in Forge worlds, but what I'm saying, I suppose, is like, I don't even know anymore what I'm trying to say. Because I guess like all the Mechanicus operate all the Forge worlds in the Imperium, correct? And in the Mechanicus in general. I don't know if the Imperium actually have any control over their own Forge worlds because the Mechanicus have to, they know how to make everything. I don't actually know if the Imperium has the ability to make anything at this point on their own. Perhaps they do, like through technology sharing and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure the Mechanicus actually held like divine right that they have to do all that shit, and that's where they like get their barter power in the Imperium or something. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody let me know.
Soothing it to a placid blue with a drone of
I was gonna make a point, but it doesn't matter. Wrong point.
Grinding through grime and soot as ancient cogs turned with creaking stiffness. Maximilian went to talk, but the noise of the descender lift was deafening, almost drowning out the maddening repetition of the Credo Omnissiah. He felt Gregorius's hand on his shoulder, the seneschal giving him a slight squeeze of support. Maximilian brushed him off with impatience. He was not a child anymore. He stumbled as the descender lift came to an abrupt stop. To his chagrin, both
So I wonder
remained
if that's like actually his biological
Without
father.
a glance back, the tech priest walked on. She moved with a heavy limp. Maximilian wondered if it was due to debilitating injury, age, or ill-fitting bionics. In any case, it was impossible to tell beneath the bulk of her oversized, grubby robes. Maximilian thought he could hear the sound of straining bionics, but even that was a guess. The sound of machinery whirring and clicking and fizzing was constant, assaulting them from every direction as they moved through the
Yeah, it
forge.
must be such an alien
He
feeling.
smoothed down.
Because, like, even in the Imperium, back to that point, sorry, like, you think there's so many planets in the Imperium, in the, like, Imperium of Man, that you might not ever step foot on a Forge world, per se. So I assume the instant you do, especially one of this degree, you're probably just, like, so fucking taken aback by what's going on there. The things that you would see would be horrendous. Like, even just this background, if this background is, like, anything to expect, if this is the average, like, thing you're gonna see there, that's horrific for just a human to view, you know, like a baseline human to view. That's a pretty horrific thing, and to just see that, like, everywhere, yeah, I can imagine. Wow.
Them from every direction as they moved through the forge. He smoothed down his regalia, wrinkling his nose at the black stains that soiled the crisp blue of his family colors. One can't help but get dirty here, he mused. Where are you taking us, Tech Priest? He asked.
You have seen the change of the shift, Lordling of the Imperium. Typically, this is all your organic brains remember of these visits, but this is a weakness of the flesh. This unit endeavors to correct you. Now, this unit shows you the workings of the blessed machine.
Are the laborers not part of these workings?
A facile observation that rests upon linguistic equivocation. This unit predicts that you understand her meaning.
Maximilian felt Gregorius's hand on his shoulder again. He shot his father's seneschal an angry glance. I meant no offense, Tech Priest. I count myself fortunate to see the true workings of the machine. Gebel did not reply. They walked at a quick pace, despite the Tech Priest's omnipresent limp. Gebel
Must be his
took them through
biological
winding
father.
Maintenance corridors, the walls tight and hemming them to single file. Something about the sudden shift from immense space to close quarters produced a mounting claustrophobia, which soon exploded into agoraphobia when they exited into a huge hallway. The Scion took a deep breath. A stifling, dry heat burning at his throat. Humanity was not made to comprehend such impossible sizes. Meanwhile, Gregorius struggled to keep up. The old man wheezed and gasped, faltering by the minute. Tech Priest, my companion tires. Perhaps we could arrange for transport.
The flesh is weak.
The Tech Priest did not amend her pace. In the maintenance corridors, they occasionally met another servant of the Cult Mechanicus, a red-robed, shuffling figure that did not speak or look up as they pressed against the walls to let them pass. Maximilian remembered Gregorius's words before they had made the shuttle trip down to this inhuman, fume-clogged world. You will think them impolitic and oblivious, but do not be fooled, young master. The Mechanicus have turned their strangeness into an art form. Oh, they understand Imperial etiquette. They have weaponized it, using it as a bludgeon against us. Every rudeness is a test, designed to prove the weakness of our flesh. Do not fail their tests, Maximilian. What of human decency? Maximilian had asked. Are they not human? They are human, yes. But they are Mechanicus first and foremost. I cannot conceive how such a society could persist, let alone thrive, to live without humanity or rules of conduct. It is a wonder that Mars does not collapse into anarchy. Oh, but they have their rules, young master. There is etiquette within the cult of Mars. Every bit as complex and treacherous as in the Imperial Court.
Yeah.
Some elements are obvious. To honor the machine, to praise the Omnissiah. But most is Martian mystery. Quite incomprehensible to our own fleshy comprehension.
Yeah, like, and again, it's interesting. Like, yeah, you're going there. I'm assuming he's got to be like a diplomat of some sort, right? He must be there to make peace talks, arrangements with them in some degree. Pass their tests, don't show them the weakness of our flesh, you know. Very interesting, and like every rudeness is designed to prove that, you know. I think that's a very interesting concept that he's bringing up there. The Mechanicus really just are. They are something, aren't they, man? Like, it's very interesting hearing them explain this, because even they in the Imperium do not fucking understand the inner workings of how the Mechanicus functions, and like they don't claim to. They just know that they can't really say no to them. Like, that's the thing, you know. They're not in a position to. It's very interesting.
Maximilian had snorted at that, earning him a harsh glance from the seneschal. Do not underestimate them, young master. The Mechanicus is dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Never let down your guard. Never rise to their bait. And always assume that they know what you're thinking. You make them sound as bad as the witches of the Telepathica. Yes, Maximilian.
They're pretty bad.
I do. The old seneschal was seriously lagging behind now. They had weaved through maintenance tunnels and huge metal caverns for almost an hour. The heat had steadily intensified, the moisture of Maximilian's flesh rising as steam. His skin felt dry and flaky. Eventually, the tech priest stopped. They stood before a giant door.
I feel like your lifespan would like inadvertently lower by like 10 years, just like stepping foot on this planet.
Her arm stretched out as she chanted a binary dirge. A ripple of animalistic fear chilled Maximilian's blood. His heartbeat sped. The hairs on his arms stood on end. A cold flush clashed with the unbearable heat. Maximilian didn't understand why, but something in Arnki Gebel's dirge spoke to a primal part of his soul. Some primitive, instinctual terror activated by the arrhythmic repetition of subsonic tones. Will you stop that, please? As soon as the words left his mouth, the door began to open. A great creaking scrape of metal against metal. It hissed as scalding air poured out, sending Maximilian reeling. As it yawned open further, the Scion could see hellfire within, blaring red-hot fire that reached high and licked at the blackened ceiling miles above. The Scion swayed, dizzy and blinded by the heat, nausea beating down on him, pressing through his eyes. He gasped, but found he could barely breathe. Through blurry eyes, he saw the tech priest silhouetted in a baleful halo of crimson fire. She turned, but Maximilian could not make out her features. Just the maddening triangle red of 3 bionic eyes. Maximilian choked. He was dimly aware of having collapsed to the ground, his palms searing against the burning floor.
Wow.
Intuitively, he slowed his breathing, applying the defensive techniques taught to him by Master Venomite Meltus. He was tempted to purge, but swallowed back his vomit. His heart rate slowed. With every blink, he could see a little more, the tech priest appraising him.
Interesting. So, like, again, trying to prove the weakness, like the flesh is weak. That's the whole, like, point the tech priest is trying to make here. Taking him into a room like this where immediately it's just smog, he's gasping, falls to the floor, you can't breathe, and he's trying to fight through it, burning the temperature in there. Wow. So a clear test, a clear proving of the weakness of just a human, you know.
Heart rate slowed.
See what happens.
He could see a little more, the tech priest appraising him. The legions of
praising
willing
him.
supplicants inside the chamber, the largest inferno he had ever seen, swallowing up the sky. As the air pressure stabilized, he could hear screaming.
Behold, the heart of the Forge Machine!
Maximilian forced himself to stand, the outer layer of flesh peeling from his palms. He gritted his teeth and forced himself to focus. If he squinted, he could see something around the flames, the glint of a force field straining to contain the immense fire. The blaze seemed to originate from a gaping cylindrical device in the ground, some mile across, and through strained eyes Maximilian could see that the rippling heat was thirstily lapped up by an identical aperture in the ceiling. Arn-Ki Gebel was grinning, even as her lower face blistered and peeled.
Life is directed motion. The spirit is the spark of life. Flesh is fallible, but ritual honors the machine spirit, and to break with ritual is to break with faith.
I don't understand.
Surprised he's able to speak.
The machine consumes an average of 0.023 million units a day. Through ritual and sacrifice, the machine spirit is honored and endures.
Maximilian examined his red raw hands. Human sacrifice!
Yes.
Why did you show me this thing?
To correct the frailties of your flesh, Lordling of the Imperium. To help you understand.
This is an abomination!
Oh,
The tech priest was silent.
there it is. You can't say that. You're calling us the Abomination? That's our line, motherfucker. I didn't think that I didn't think the Imperium would be the one calling the Mechanicus an abomination here. I mean, I expected, like, we know that, right? We know that, right? We all secretly know that. We agree with it. But, like, I didn't think I'd be seeing it. Wow. I wonder what's going to happen here. This guy's going to get fucked severely, I imagine. Maybe. Or maybe he's going to get taught a lesson or something. I don't know. That seems dangerous, saying that out loud. And human sacrifices, like, are you surprised? Like, you know who these guys are. Like, come now.
This is an abomination! The tech priest was silent. Maximilian glanced over his shoulder, seeing Gregorius standing at a distance. Even though the old man avoided the worst of the heat, he looked haggard, his skin steaming with sweat, black smudges staining his face. The scion shook his head. I would like to leave, tech priest. As the tech priest led them away, Maximilian thought back on his conversation with Gregorius. He remembered frowning. If they are as bad as the witches, then why are they tolerated? For the same reason that the witches of the Telepathica are tolerated, young master. Because the god emperor needs them. Maximilian had gone to scoff, but the old man had placed a hand on his wrist. Put such thoughts out of your mind, Maximilian. Forget any notion of common humanity or compassion. You cannot risk such luxuries here. Maximilian refocused. Arn-Ki Gebel had led them through another maze of maintenance tunnels and cavernous hallways, a blur of creaking gears and blackened cogs. The scion felt dizzy, his body struggling to cope with the abrupt shifts in temperature and space. His mind was groggy, his mouth horribly dry. With a twinge of alarm, Maximilian realized that Gregorius was nowhere to be seen. My father's seneschal.
This way, Lordling.
A blast of
He's been
relatively
abducted.
cold air sent
Ignore him.
Maximilian tottering. He realized that he was in the spaceport, dozens of shuttles landing and taking off every minute, a maddening frenzy of constant motion. Servitors unloaded and refueled vessels, overseen by red-robed adepts. Heavily augmented pilots sat in their cockpits, fizzing wires connecting the top of their spines to blinking cogitators. Imports of human cargo marched out in chains, dragged along by towering Skitari.
Your shuttle is being prepared for disembarkment. Wait here.
Maximilian barely registered Arn-Ki Gebel's words. He staggered backwards, supporting his weight against a row of fuel barrels. The sky was full of buzzing insects. No, they were shuttles, swarming in concentric circles, waiting to land. The scion blinked, getting out of the way as a heavy servitor stomped towards him, reaching for a fuel barrel with its servo arm. The servitor was dwarfed by the barrel, but it shouldered the load without complaint, an ant lifting 10 times its own weight.
Wow.
The scion watched.
It's a great way of explaining it.
At the scene.
Move, Imperial!
At a tech adept's warning, Maximilian dodged a line of trudging menials who dragged a huge, snaking fuel pipe.
Wow.
He went to apologize, but the tech adept simply walked on, directing his charges towards a shuttle double the size of the others. Maximilian stared, barely avoiding another crowd of workers coming in the opposite direction.
Like, it's just so robotic. It's so, like, again, alien to just a human. Again, compassion, like, sympathy. Like, he went to go apologize. He doesn't give a fuck. Just get out of my way. I have a job to do. You know, that's what I'm here to do. What are you here for? What, to talk? I don't give a fuck. Like, we don't need to talk, you know? Like, there's no problem here, you know? It's just such a different atmosphere than he's used to, quite literally. And yeah, like, the human life is just not respected, you know? The flesh is weak. Wow.
Maximilian stared, barely avoiding another crowd of workers coming in the opposite direction. He realized he had lost sight of where he was told to wait. There were so many people and machines milling about, obeying some profound order he couldn't fathom. He tripped over a cable, sprawling to the ground. Instinctively, he went to catch his fall with his burned hands, letting loose a sharp hiss of agony from his parched lips. He groped at the floor, trying to find his wits and balance. A firm hand grabbed the back of his shirt and dragged him upwards. Thank you. The Scatari stared back. It had no face, though Maximilian couldn't tell if what he saw were bionics or simply armor. A grated respirator for a nose and mouth. Red-tinged goggles for eyes, all shadowed by a heavy red cowl. It loomed over the scion, bulked out in a carapace cuirass, its arms bionic and inhumanly strong. I seem to have lost... Wait, what are you doing? The Scatari grabbed Maximilian's wrist, almost breaking the bone as it yanked him forwards into a line of chained men and women. Before Maximilian could fully process what was happening, he was manacled and being dragged with the others. Wait! No! This is a mistake! Wait! Listen to me! A rush of terror brought back Maximilian's wits as they approached the edge of the spaceport. He glanced wildly about, looking for someone that could help him.
You're getting just thrown into the pile.
Utterly oblivious to his cries, but he tried anyway.
Interesting. I wonder if that's planned or if it's literally just the case of like, because you would think he'd be in like a different uniform or something, like he'd have like designations. So I wonder if this is like a planned thing by the Mechanicus. Goddamn.
Everyone seemed utterly oblivious to his cries, but he tried anyway, explaining, insulting, pleading. Tech priest! Tech priest! With a flood of relief, Maximilian saw Anki Gibel. He was suddenly glad of her distinctive triangle of eyes. Tech priest! Help! Help me! Anki Gibel stared back at him impassively. No! Wait! Tech priest! Tech priest! As the doors to the spaceport closed behind them, Maximilian saw a satisfied grin spread across Anki Gibel's lips. Wait!
So it is planned.
No, wait!
Wow.
He started to hyperventilate. Scatari, please. Scatari, I am not supposed to be here. I am a Lord Scion of the Imperium. I am... The Scatari turned and delivered a sledgehammer uppercut to the Scion's chin.
Jesus.
The blow was immense, slamming Maximilian's jaw onto his tongue and severing it in an instant.
Wow.
The Scion tried to scream, but only managed a gurgled cry of gushing blood. He vainly struggled, but he was hauled forward, his tongue trampled by the line of people behind him. He could just about see it, pulped and abandoned on the grated floor.
So he actually bit his tongue straight off. Wow.
Maximilian
That's fucked.
Out. When he awoke, he was pinned upright to an X-shaped metal cross. The air was frigid, stinking of chemicals. The Scion felt groggy,
Wow.
He could feel where the blood had dried against his chin, his severed tongue aching in a steady, dull pulse. Purple bruises blossomed over his body. After a few beats, Maximilian realized he was naked. He tried to free himself, but he was clamped in place, struggling against steel. Maximilian tried to calm himself. Some time had elapsed, enough time for Gregorius to reach the spaceport and ask the necessary questions. Damn that old man, he thought. If he had just accepted bionics for his legs, this would never have happened.
Wow.
He tried to look around, but his neck was clamped in place. From what he could see, the room was small, almost like a cell.
So he can't even talk anymore because he doesn't have a fucking tongue. That's so fucked up. Like, but yeah, he's trying to explain to a Scutari. The Scutari doesn't give a fuck. It's just a machine, you know what I mean? There's nothing left human about it. I don't think they have any personality left at that point, do they? I don't believe Scutari do. Somebody let me know specifically, but yeah, I'm pretty sure you're bargaining with just a fucking faceless fucking entity at that point. Not even a machine, because it's not a robot or anything. You know, there's still a human in there, quote unquote, but it's not a conscious fucking human, that's for sure.
Almost like a cell. Its walls were cluttered with medical apparatus.
This is fucked.
A servo.
So my initial assumption wasn't entirely wrong.
Mechadendrite on the other. No one else seemed to be in the room with him. Gregorius will be here soon, Maximilian assured himself. It's almost over. He started as a door opened. A servitor gazed blankly at him, struggling under the weight of a curved metal plate. Behind was a tech adept. Maximilian moaned in fear. His voice sounded strange without his tongue. The servitor approached with faltering steps. It might have been female once. There was something feminine about the tuft of dead hair that reached down to its shoulders from the right side of its scalp. Either way, it did not respond to Maximilian's muffled pleas, slamming the metal plate into his chest with crashing force. The tech adept stepped forwards with an electro drill. Behind it, a line of servitors waited silently, carrying tools and bionics, gears and wires. Maximilian screamed as the tech adept drilled the metal plate into his body, feeling his skin corkscrew away as the nails were fixed to his shoulder blades and ribs.
Wow.
His vision swam in agony, returning to sharp focus as the wall-mounted medical mechadendrite injected him with a concoction of life-saving chems. He felt his blood swim from the holes the tech adept had made in him, running like lubricant between his flesh and the plate.
Damn.
Another servitor stepped forward, handing the tech adept an electro saw before bowing back.
Oh.
It buzzed into life, slicing through the skin of...
So fucked too, no anesthesia or nothing. They don't give a fuck. They're just doing it to you raw. But they will give you like a life-saving concoction of chems, but they just won't like put you under for this operation. Fuck, you know. He almost probably wishes he just didn't wake up at that point. That's fucked.
Before bowing back.
This is very fucked up, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Wow.
Slicing through the skin of Maximilian's shoulder before finding resistance at the bone.
Oh.
The scion howled, fighting wildly against his restraints. The wall-mounted servo arm pinned him down as the left arm ripped away, his underarm skin tearing and giving way to a splatter of blood. The next servitor entered, presenting a grubby bionic. The tech adept pinched at Maximilian's exposed nerve fibers, cleaning them of bone dust and skin as the blood flowed in steady bursts. The medical mechadendrite injected Maximilian again as the tech adept reverently took the bionic arm, chanting to the Omnisire as it unspooled wiring from the augment's inner workings. With delicate metal hands, the tech adept wove the wires around the nerve fibers and soldered them together. As Maximilian shrieked, the tech adept fed the wires back into the bionic arm, positioned it against the scion's shoulder, and reached once more for the electro drill. Maximilian continued to howl. Some innermost portion of his mind urged him to speak, to tell the tech adept that there had been a mistake. But the pain was too
There's been no mistake, unfortunately.
Screams. He stared
like you were seeing, unfortunately.
The medical mechadendrite applied another dose of stim. It was an ugly thing, too large for his frame, dragging him downwards against the clamps. It was a thing fit only for a menial wretch, A hideous, unspeakable thing. He convulsed as aluminum charge spasmed through his body. He spat fizzing blood on his metal chest. The tech adept applied the electro sword to Maximilian's other arm, the sword bone left behind a white sheen of dust, shaded with crimson as his right arm tore away. Then the pinch. The white-hot agony of metal against nerve fibers. The soldering. The drill. Maximilian wheezed. Distantly, he realized he wasn't screaming anymore. His throat lacerated and useless. He tried to think. There was a name. Someone who might still come, but it was hard to think. Hard to think past the pain and the animal part of his mind that screamed in tortured terror. It was like a secret. Something that might still save the Scion if he could only remember. A name. A name. The Scion was dimly aware of intense pressure against his torso. The tech adept was attaching metal girders to the plate, building an exoskeleton to support the immense, ungainly weight of Maximilian's bionic arms. A sharp pain in Maximilian's neck signaled another stim injection. Another spasm of aluminum sent him convulsing. He gaped down at his body, a scaffolding of bloody metal parts. Inhuman. Not his. Maximilian wanted to scream, but it hurt even to breathe. He suddenly had the absurd thought that this couldn't be real, that he was about to wake up, that this couldn't possibly be happening to him. Next, the tech adept took his legs. Shuffling servitors brought in the replacements, sooty, clunking things with exposed, rusted gears. Maximilian's eyes rolled back as the agony began anew.
Interesting that they really do go like full 9 yards and replace all the appendages like that.
Calipers,
wow.
His mutilated genitalia flopping limply to the blood-soaked ground.
Ugh.
When it was finally over,
that's fucked.
Another dose of stim jolted him into focus. The tech adept stood appraising him with cold green eyes. The Scion could feel a tremendous weight dragging on his skin, a terrible new mass that pulled him towards the earth. He tried to look at the tech adept, but he could barely lift his head. He grunted, spitting blood as the tech adept reached out with a hand and took him by the broken chin, inspecting him like a prize grox. A thin, winding mechadendrite unspooled from beneath the tech adept's robes, uncoiling towards the Scion's face.
Goddamn.
This isn't real, Maximilian thought. This can't be. The thin mechadendrite burrowed up Maximilian's right nostril, finding the young
it's all okay until it happens to you, right?
With a series of small snips, the tech adept severed the cortex from the rest of the brain, and Maximilian never thought in words again.
The unit apologizes. This is an abomination.
I want to see him.
As you wish, Seneschal.
Gregorius sighed, feeling it travel through his entire body. He felt every bit of his 200 years. Ki Gebel had already told him the bad news. Not just bad news. A tragedy. A calamity. Lord and Lady Vanderlyn would be devastated. Gregorius was devastated. He felt tears on his face.
Wow.
He had told Lord Vanderlyn that the boy was not ready. The Seneschal did not doubt that the young Scion had made some mistake. The boy was too proud, too hot-headed, rushing off without the Seneschal, allowing himself to be lured away by the Mechanicus.
Wow.
Who knows what Maximilian had said? Something had happened. The Seneschal...
So some, like, perceived slight against the Mechanicus, and he got lured away and just like left, essentially, right? Like straight up, like, yeah, wow, because he has no power. So, and like the tech priest totally knew what the fuck was going on, but again, it was just some perceived like slight, and they just undermined him. Oh no, an accident, oopsie, what's gonna happen now? Like, they can't reverse that, fuck.
Knows what Maximilian had said. Something had happened. The Seneschal was certain of it. Ki Gebel seemed positively gloating. It was the
Wow.
most emotion she had ever shown him. The seneschal knew that the tech priest could have hidden her emotions if she'd wished. The half-aborted smile on her lips was meant to be seen. Beware the wrath of the Adeptus Mechanicus. As
Wow.
a courtesy, Arnki Gebel had arranged transport to the servitization chambers. Gregorius knew that he should have fitted bionic locomotion.
So that was the servitization chambers.
After all, he knew the creatures that would provide his augmentation. Monsters. He had tried to warn the boy. He had tried to warn him, but Maximilian had not listened. Lord Vandalin will not be pleased, Gregorius managed.
This unit understands and shall offer compensation, Seneschal.
Compensation won't
Compensations.
return his son.
If Lord Vandalin would like, this unit will return to him his son.
Gregorius fell silent. He knew that the tech priest was baiting him. It was a message for Lord Vandalin. If not for that message and the necessity of a messenger, Gregorius would already be dead.
Wow.
The Mechanicus does not fear imperial nobility.
Wow.
Again, this unit apologizes.
Gregorius kept his voice level.
Wow.
Thank you, tech priest.
Just this way.
They had separated.
You have to suck it up
Maximilian
or it's
from the
gonna
other
happen to you.
servitors, keeping him in the cell where they had disfigured him. The air was cold, formaldehyde stinging the seneschal's nostrils. Gregorius braced himself. Nonetheless, when the door opened, he fell into sobs. The boy's nose was swollen where lobotomizing mechadendrites had mutilated his brain. His mouth dribbled blood, his teeth cracked and broken. They had removed his scalp and affixed heavy blocks of metal, sending his head bobbing beneath the weight. Oh, God, Emperor! The servitor slowly lifted its head. They had left his eyes intact. The bright blue had dulled to a clouded milky ocean, but they were still undeniably Maximilian's eyes.
Wow.
The servitor groaned. It was Maximilian's voice, but it was slurred and mechanical. Maximilian, what have they done to you?
That's pretty
Later,
obvious, unfortunately.
Gregorius would tell himself that it was a lie, a trick of his trauma, or of his own exhaustion, and yet in that moment he was certain of what he saw. The boy's white blue eyes, misting with terrified tears.
So he's still conscious. They didn't, like, fully lobotomize him. Wow. Wow, guys, that was Abomination by A Vox in the Void. Warhammer 40K story, Adeptus Mechanicus. I thought that was pretty fucked up, I'm not gonna lie. We've seen some pretty fuck things here on the channel from a few different creators, a couple fuck stories, for sure. This one was pretty bad. My initial assumption, I guess, actually turned out to kind of be right. My initial, I guess it is an assumption, yeah. Turned out to be kind of correct. He did end up going to a servitor facility. You know, I was kind of hoping we wouldn't go that route in the beginning there, you know. I thought we would, but I was like, okay, maybe we won't get to see that. Unfortunately, that's what it turned out to be. So wow, yeah, that was gruesome to fucking hear what happened, what transpired in such a short amount of time, and the perceived slight, again, how the Mechanicus do business. It's pretty fucking upfront, and nothing can be done about it. You know what I mean? Like no action can be taken. Oh, it was a simple mistake. Oopsies. Oopsies. Like that's literally what happened there. Like, yeah, very fucked that they can just like do that. And but also, yeah, they sent somebody inexperienced, somebody brash, that had no dealings with the Mechanicus to this point. So Yeah, very, very fucked story. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, of course, leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and leave your recommendations, of course, down in the comments below. Come join our Discord. I love interacting with you guys there. So come on down, join the Discord today. Big shout out to all of our members. I appreciate you guys, all of our Hastati out there. You guys inspired me to make more content for you guys every single day. And with that, guys, this has been Centurion, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.